Hello everyone, this is On the Crystal Ship, and I'm doing a playthrough of career mode for Kerbal 0.9, the new beta. So yeah, let's go make a new game. I have installed some mods, and I can't remember which ones they are on the Crystal Space Program, but I'll put them in the description if I remember them. Let's go for orbs. No mode, career, start. Now, I haven't been playing this game for very long. I'm not Scott Manley, but I will do my best, and we'll learn together. And the game is just frozen. I don't know if it's still recording or not. Just give it a second, I guess. Okay, here we go. Thank you. Now I have played Open a couple times, and it's a lot different than what Kerbal used to be, and a lot harder too. So let's go straight into it. First thing first is to get a contract. So these two are quite easy to do. Should I be explaining how Kerbal works? Maybe. So what Kerbal's space program is basically you are an alien species trying to set up your first space program, and it's crashed again. I don't know if you're recording or not, so I'm not going to speak till it fixes itself. Still frozen. Okay, sorry, the game froze a little bit. So what Kerbal's space program is you are a alien species called Kerbals on the planet Kerbal, trying to start your space program and explore the galaxy, or your solar system at least. And you start off with some very basic rocket parts, and you have to upgrade by researching and unlocking new parts that can get you further and further into space. What I've already done is I've accepted 2 contracts, and contracts kind of give you missions, and if you complete those missions you get rewards. So these 2 missions are the easiest to do straight away: launching your vessel and to achieve an altitude of 5,000. So I'm just going to use what Scott Manley said to do, which is you have one crew capsule, and crew capsules are basically where you store your Kerbal astronauts. These are the first 3 you have. And then I'm going to stick there are 2 kinds of engines you can have: a liquid fuel, which you need fuel tanks and an actual engine, or a solid fuel. The difference between them is liquid fuel boosters, you can control how much much thrust they are using, while solid fuel is static. I'm going to cut this down a little bit to save some money, and also so I don't overshoot the target. I'm going to stick a parachute on top so that it falls nicely, and here I'm going to change the staging. And what staging is just like real rockets, certain parts go off first, and you can choose what order parts go off in. So in my staging here, when I push spacebar the first time, the rocket will go, and when I push it the second time, the parachute will deploy. Anything else I need to add? I don't think so. One thing I'm going to change though is when it comes to our crew, you'll notice we have 3 different people who have different traits. Jebediah Kerman is a pilot, Bill Kerman is an engineer, and Bob Kerman is a scientist. Now with the pilot, it's easier to control your spacecraft. With a scientist, you get more science from doing research, which is what we want to try and do right now. And I'm not quite sure about the engineer. I'll find out and let you know. Since our spaceship will basically just be going up, we don't really need a pilot, so I'm going to stick the pilot to the side and put Bob Kerman in instead to do some science. Then that's basically all you need to do to start. Wait. No, never mind. I thought the price changed. Okay. So let's try and shoot our first rocket. If this decides to stop freezing anytime soon. I hope that none of that... Yeah, okay, so it just froze again. I'm not sure if the freezing is coming in the video, then I'll have to cut that out. So here we are on the Kerbal launch pad. It's just really a sandy pit. There's the whole facility, and here is our spaceship. Or I won't really go to space, but it could do. Bob Kerman is our pilot, and we're going to blast off. So I push spacebar to set off the first stage, and so we're going to go straight up. Hopefully going to get near the 5,000 mark. Now what I might actually do is turn it towards the sea a little bit, so I land in the ocean, so I can get some water going. So actually, never mind, I'll do that later. So we're going up. That's warping a lot. If I had a pilot, that wouldn't happen. And we're reaching our mark. Here we go, 5,000 meters, and we're going to get 2 contracts. I'm going to right-click them to delete them. Let's do a crew report when it starts to fall again. What a crew report is basically, we're taking what our crew sees, writing it down for science. The shore's looking inviting as you watch the waves roll into the coast. So you can see that. I'm going to deploy the parachute now, and we're just going to let it fall. I'm going to keep the data. Now what you can do is you can speed up the process by pushing the period mark, and as you can see in the top corner, time is warping and going faster. This parachute should deploy at 500, so before we reach 500 I'm going to turn it back to 0 because the physics engine is still kind of buggy. So just to avoid any issues with the parachuting, it's always good to do that. And now I'm going to speed up again and just go all the way down. There's our shadow, so you can kind of see where we're going to land. I'm going to just slow down again before we touch the ground. And so that was our first successful space mission. I think the engine's going to explode. Yeah, okay. That's fine because our astronaut is fine. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to put him on an EVA, which I think means extravehicular orbit. Adventure. I don't know what it means. And I'm going to, so basically here he is outside of his spacecraft. I'm going to take some of that data. I'm going to store it back inside. So now I can do a secondary, a second crew report from the ground. But I can also do an EVA report from the spaceman himself. So I'm going to keep that data, grab, board, and do a second crew report. We're home. I'm also wondering if I can store, store all of that. Okay, so now he's free again. I can take one. Since we're holding on to the edge and not touching the ground, it counts as if we were flying. So I can take another EVA report. This is the most precarious situation. See, it says that we're flying over Kerbal shores, which we're not actually doing, but the game doesn't know that. So we're going to board, and we're going to recover our vessel. And that was our first space flight. Let's see what rewards we have earned. The game keeps crashing. I hope that's not coming in the video. We have earned 23 science and $33,000, or Kerbal funds. And 1 XP for Bob Kerman. Done. So what can we do with all that? Well, first of all, I'm going to go get some more contracts. So as you can see, a lot more options are available to us. But I'm going to try doing this one first. Altitude record of 11,000 meters. Anything else over here I want to try out? Nothing particularly exciting. Oh, what's that? I might do that later. So let's go to our research and development facility. So with science, we can unlock new parts. This is basic rocketry, and it gives us access to some basic parts we can use to travel. We still have 18 science left, which we can use to buy stability or survivability. I think the game has crashed again. Sorry, things don't work well with fraps. So this one helps us land better. This one helps us steer better. I think I'm going to go for stability. Yep. And now we're going to go back and try to get even higher. So I think just to get to 11,000, all I need to do is put this back up to full. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to set you back up to full, and that should get me to 11,000 easy. Let's have a look at some other parts we've gotten. So we should have unlocked some new fuel tanks, and these hold fuel for the liquid fuel engines. We should have a couple more engines now, which we do. Control wheels, which I've never used. I should probably try that out at some point. We have some nose cones for if we need to go, like if we need aerodynamics, but I don't think we will. We don't have any hanging parts. Actual aerodynamics and stuff, which help us, stay more stable. Utility, we only have the parachute still. That's all we really need. And some science, and this is what's important. So I'm going to take this, the mystery goo containment unit. I'm going to stick some of these onto the side here. I'm going to stick on 3. Down in the corner, we have symmetry modes, which basically help us to build even structures. If you just push X, you can increase the symmetry, and shift X to decrease the symmetry. So I think I'm just going to try it with this. I'm not going to save that, I'm just going to launch it. Same staging as before. Let's see what happens. Okay, let's go. First things first is I'm going to do some experiments here on the ground. What you'll notice is, depending on where you are in Kerbal, different experiments give different results. I'm going to keep that data, and I'm going to launch. Basically the same thing as before, but I am going to turn a little bit so I can try and land in the ocean so I can get more science. Because science on the land is different than science in the water itself. And across the Kerbal, I'll also go into map mode just to show you, there are different biomes and different lands, and each of them have different scientific discoveries, I guess you could say. So let's try and get up to that 11,000 meter mark. And I wonder if we're going to do it. And there we go, 11,000, contract complete. And when we get to the peak of our thing, I'm going to take another science thing. Okay, it looks like we're going to start falling down soon. Okay, yeah. Observe mystery goo. Up in here, the goo jiggles and wobbles as the craft flies. Maybe I can even take a crew report. That's new. Your crew's assessment of the situation. So I'm going to keep that data, and now we're going to fall back to the ground. Speed up a little bit so we fall a bit faster. We're going out of control. If I had a pilot, I could kind of control it a little bit better, but I don't. I'm going to deploy the parachutes. We're going to fall slowly into the Kerbal's waters. Bob Kerman is having the time of his life. I'm going to decrease the speed a little bit so the parachute can deploy. There we go. And now we're just going to fall into the water. So I'm going to stop it just before we hit the water again. There's no shadows this time. There's a shadow, but the shadow's at the very bottom of the ocean, so it's not really representative. And here we go. Once again, we lose our engine, but that's okay. Observe the goo. The goo escapes into the water. Keep data. And let's go into EVA. Grab on. Take data, store experiments. Let's do another crew report. Keep that data, EVA. Let's do an EVA report. I don't think a spacesuit was entirely necessary. Grab store experiment, and let's do another EVA report. We want to milk as much science as we can out of the whole thing. Recover the vessel. And that's our second launch done. Now let's see where we end up. We now have 29 science, more money, and more reputation for Bob Kerman. He didn't get any XP because he already leveled up once. So let's see what's new in the R&D. What can we get? We can get better flight control, better construction, but what I'm actually going for is I'm going to get some survivability because my thing keeps blowing up and I don't like that. And I don't think I can unlock anything else. Yeah, okay. So you can see the higher the tiers you go, the more expensive things become. So you have to keep aiming to get as much science as possible. Alright, so let's get our new contract. What can we do now? Altitude record of 22,000 meters. Accept that contract. And okay, let's just try that out.